But so far, I think all topics that we discussed about during this session were very, very interesting and really connected to this second session about social innovation and urban heritage. And so I'm very happy to know about your researches, and so also spread globally. And so I found very, very interesting this topics and cases that you mentioned, and I found very nice that we really speak the same language. And so we all talk about the importance of the community, of the stakeholders engagement, and the also in the involvement in the regeneration of the towns, of cities, and of heritage in the same time. And so I think we can also start a bit our discussion, waiting for Monica, because right now I think she's not here. And so, yeah, I don't know if there are any questions or comments related to the previous presentations. Okay, so I have, unfortunately, I just received a message from Monica. She asked for a few minutes, so yeah, we can continue with some questions. And so I don't know if there are comments. Yes, maybe Jörg. Yeah.
It's more a question, a short question, no? Not yet for the discussion. For Joanna, in this example, there haven't been problems about contamination of this atomic industry plant. Not at all. Or...
Not really, because it was never activated. So actually the substance has never been there. It was dedicated, and you know, during the Cold War for such a use, but there was never been activated. So all the infrastructure is there, apart from, you know, the substance, the material. So I think this makes it even more interesting, because it was planned to be as the biggest nuclear plant, and it was never used, it was never activated as such.
No, I think it's really very interesting, not only because it's exotic somehow, no, but as Federica said, no, it really shows that we are all dealing with similar problems in the world, no, and let's say speaking about industrial heritage in big cities is really super different to speaking in rural areas, no, that let's say shows also the background, no, of these initiatives to industrialize the peripheries, no, what happened in Europe the same way, no, and today we are dealing with the ruins of this industrial politics of the past, no, and today it's really difficult to set them into new networks, because there are no new networks, no. On the other hand, it's interesting, no, and attractive, no, and maybe, and this would be maybe a bit more open question, no, that sites like this, not only, let's say, to look at them themselves, but as part of some more extended initiatives or networks, no, that go beyond the single site. Did you observe something like this in your example?
I think, you know, the initiative, actually what people wanted to do there was to extend and probably merge with, actually including the general planning of the areas, because we're talking about huge projects. So I think I agree with what you say. We can have a site focused approach for this kind of places. It is the very early stage for the proposals there. So I think they're in the process of still thinking how they're gonna go about it. But there is definitely the willingness of undertaking some bigger projects that involve not only the regeneration of these places as such, but the vision for the wider area. And because Chongqing area in general has been very industrial in a way, or manufacturer oriented. They are seeking to open up a little bit to tourism and probably, you know, also accelerate or promote this dimension through the industrial heritage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking also that in all this presentation, we are dealing with one of the same topic now for the reactivation, regeneration of urban context, a rural context. And so also Megan was mentioning about the social changes also in the COVID time. And so I want to know more about also if you feel, what do you think, in which way in future, how do we have to develop how cities, how this approach can change also in the heritage redevelopment?
What I like about the London example, even though I didn't go to fine grain, is that London is obviously a very old city, and there's some examples in Southwark and some of the inner city where they have this mix of sort of heritage and post-World War II, post-bombing, new developments for like social housing and other stuff. And I think what I see with some of the groups now that they've gotten to do the pop-up or reclaim the public space, is that they're spilling out into the road, which represents this massive public space from the laneways to sort of the parking, and actually exploring them in terms of how they would like to use them. So for example, in Southwark, there is a sort of a younger teenage type group who is reclaiming this historic space sort of near, if anyone's familiar, near like South Bank, that has been closed off for many years, and it represents sort of lots of different laneways. And they're using that as a skate park and have actually been cleaning graffiti off so that they can use the space as they want. So I think, you know, for me, it's sort of how do we take some of the things we liked from before, some of the things we didn't like in post-war, and then if you give these groups the opportunity to use the space when they haven't been able to use it or they haven't been able to claim it as their own, what would that mean for what they create for sort of the next phase? So I think that in terms of all this pop-up infrastructure and like the fact that it's rolling out really quickly and it doesn't take years of planning, it's in direct response to what those people in the local area want. What might that look like, and which changes can they make permanent that would benefit their areas and how they see them living their lives in those spaces rather than what was predetermined.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was about to ask a question also to Martina about this, because you mentioned the dimension of the space, and so as architects, for us it's really important to connect a special observation of the space. And so Martina was mentioning also in the presentation about the case of Bologna, the 2 points that for you were really important were to get to know the area and to get to know the actors. And so I just want to, it's just a reflection actually about how important it is for an architect and urban planner to connect these 2 dimensions. And so if you want to add something else about this connection between space and social dimension that we always mention.
Yes, I would add also another dimension which I'm getting affection recently, which is the corporeal dimension, so the bodily dimension. And I realized that through some of the actions that the project implemented, and then eventually moving backwards to the virtual experience with COVID, we lost this ability to engage with our bodies in the space. So getting to know the space through the body, through the movement even, and through also the movement with people with disability, for example, or with people with, I don't know, different ages or different relationship with the city. So temporary inhabitants was really different for our bodies. And what I felt was missing in the use of space was this dimension of being intertwined with the physical space as humans. So touch the space, not only touch the people. So I think the relationships that public spaces especially are able to trigger are very much related to this physical, corporeal dimension. That's something that I think we could explore more even in COVID times with this temporaneity of intervention, which sometimes, at least that's what I feel, it's something that is leaving me hanged there and without this physical experience, because sometimes it's even more, I don't know, elitarian experience, so to say, to be a little bit critical, at least in Bologna. Sometimes it's proposed by groups of people who do not open up their experiences to everybody, but they limited them to their own group of people. So I think working with the people with different abilities helped me understand also that us as, so to say, innovators or social innovators or researchers about social innovation, sometimes we leave behind other experiences or other type of people that can instead open up different visions.
Martina, no, what for me was surprising, no, that you said to involve students was kind of a revolution in Bologna, no? That's incredible.
Yeah, it is.
And no, but let's say it points maybe to a next point of discussion, no, for heritage in the periphery, you know, because it's almost never really only about the people living directly there, no, but, and that's one of the important discussions, no, we are having in urbanism about not only multi-place living, but multi-referentiality to places, no, that let's say probably for successful projects in the periphery, people need to be attracted, no, yeah. And let's say in different forms, no, this is not only about standard tourism, no, but let's say to create more constant relations and also other dimensions of bondage, no, that is not only information but becoming active in some way, you know, and this for me is very interesting, and this also differentiates, no, heritage in the periphery more to heritage in the city. I would even say, you know, this can be one field to transfer knowledge gained from the periphery to the city, no? I don't know, what do you think?
Definitely. I'm very fascinated by the student population in Bologna, because they are claimed by the politician as a student citizenship, but in fact, they don't feel this way. They don't feel engaged in having a say about, for example, for instance, university buildings. Just a simple thing that should have a say. So not even services. That's why I say it was very challenging to engage them. And they are this part of this transient population that is crossing the city, the metropolitan city of Bologna every day. And when I speak about the student population, Bologna has this multi-campus that not only involves peripheries, but also parts of the region. So this is a much broader discourse, and each of these persons bring knowledge from their own hometown, maybe they're foreign, so they bring with them like baggage of experience that then they don't live as an heritage to the city, not even to the center part of the city. They just live, and then they don't leave anything to the city, and sometimes not even the city leave something to them. So I think that's an interesting approach to perceive for the larger part with a wider view of the city as metropolitan, but even regional dimension.
Okay, so I think in this moment, Monica, she can join us. And so I think if it's possible, she will try to present in the first session. And so I want just to say that was really very, very interesting, as also a very rich of information of research insights, this specific session. And so I really appreciate this morning together and talking about different topics and talking with different kind of point of views. And so I'm very glad for this first part. And so I want to thank you all for this great participation in this first part of the webinar. And so yeah, I think if you want to also to join us for the second, for the first session, it will be really our pleasure, and to continue with our discussion and sharing of insights and projects. No,
at 2 o'clock, no?
Yes, at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, yeah, we will meet, and so we will start with the presentation lecture from our special guest, Moserici. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye all.
Goodbye.